Okay, today we're going to do our Unit 6 notes number 11, which is going over the quadratic formula. So we're going to fully go over it today. So we want to remember that ax squared plus bx plus c is the form we want to get it into before we start plugging it into our quadratic formula and identifying our a, b, and c value. And then we're going to use the quadratic formula, which is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So remember, we want to make sure we identify our A, B, and C's and plug those in correctly. So on our example today, we're going to do it all. So first, you have to rearrange it in the standard form. So we got to move our 7 to the side, which is just going to tack onto the end, and then we have to subtract the 4x, which is going to go with 3x. So we're going to get 4x squared minus x minus 7 equals 0. Our next step is to identify our A, B, and C. So our A is 4. Our B is negative 1, so it's a number in front of our x, and then our C is negative 7. Then we're going to take this and plug this in the quadratic, which is what we did yesterday. So x equals negative our B, so it's going to change to a positive 1, plus or minus the square root, b squared, so negative 1 squared, minus 4, times my A value, times my C value. All over 2 times my A value, which is 4. Then we take that and we simplify this. So we did this yesterday, so we're going to simplify inside of our radical first. So the 1 is going to stay the same. I'm going to do negative 1 squared, which is 1. Negative 4 times 4 is going to give you a negative 16. Negative 16 times 7 is going to give you a positive 112. And then divided by 8. So taking this, I get x equals 1 plus or minus the square root of 113 all over 8. So then you have to think if there is a perfect inside of 113. I don't think there is. So that is just going to be our answer. So if we can simplify the radical, we have to make sure we simplify it. If not, just leave it how it is. So then we write this in a solution set. So 1 plus or minus the square root of 113 divided by 8. Okay, let me know if you have any questions on that. Let's go on to the back page where I think we have 4 examples to do. So first up, we got to get it into standard form. So subtract the 6 over. So we get x squared plus 5x minus 6 equals 0. Identify our A, which is 1. Our B is 5, and our C is negative 6. Take these and plug it in. So x equals a negative b, so negative 5, plus or minus the square root, 5 squared, minus 4 times my a value, which is 1, times my c value, which is negative 6, all over 2 times my a value, which is 1. Then I simplify under my radical. 5 squared is 25. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times 6 is a positive 24. Divided by 2. Then we get x equals negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 49 divided by 2. So from here, I'm going to kind of split it because I'm going to have negative 5 plus 7 divided by 2 because that's the square root of 49, and negative 5 minus 7 divided by 2. So I'm going to get 2 divided by 2, which equals 1. So that's one of my solutions. And I'm going to get negative 12 divided by 2, which equals negative 6. So that's my other solution. So this one you're going to have 2 solutions because it was a perfect square root. So your solution set would be negative 6, 1. Okay, next one, it's already in standard form. So I'm going to identify my A, which is 2. My B is negative 1. And my C is 2. So you're going to put it in your quadratic. X equals negative your B, so that's going to become a positive 1. plus or minus the square root, your b squared, so negative 1 squared, minus 4 times my a times my c, all over 2 times my a. Simplify inside your radical. 1 squared is 1. And then minus 4 times 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times 2 is negative 16. All over 4. And then you get x equals 1 plus or minus the square root of negative 15 divided by 4. We talked about yesterday, we don't want to use a negative under a radical. If we have a negative, we're going to get no real solution. So this means that quadratic does not cross the x-axis. Okay, going on to number 3. It's already in standard form, so identify my a, which is 1. B is negative 4. C is 6. X equals negative your b, so that becomes a positive 4 plus or minus the square root. Negative 4 squared minus 4 times my a times my c, all over 2 times my a. So you get x equals 4 plus or minus the square root. 4 squared is 16. And then minus 24 divided by 2. So you're going to get x equals 4 plus or minus the square root of negative 8 divided by 2. Again, we have a negative under a radical. So it's going to be no real solutions. Okay, hopefully the next one simplifies better. Okay, this one we got to move the 6x. We got to add the x squared. So we get 3x squared minus x minus 10 equals 0. My a is 3, b is negative 1, c is negative 10. Plug it in. X equals negative your b, so positive 1 plus or minus the square root. B squared minus 4 times my a times my c, all over 2 times my a. Okay, simplify under your radical. You get 1 plus or minus the square root of 1. And then you get negative 12 times 10, which is a positive 120, divided by 6. So you get x equals 1 plus or minus the square root of 121 divided by 6. Square root of 121 is a perfect, so we're going to have to split this. We're going to have 1 plus 11 divided by 1. And 1, oh, I don't know where that became 1. This should be 6. And 1 minus 11 divided by 6. So we're going to get 12 divided by 6, which is 2. We're going to get negative 10 divided by 6, which equals negative 5 over 3. So those are going to be my 2 solutions. Okay, let me know if you guys have any questions, and if we need to look at ones that the radical simplifies down, we will. Okay, you guys can get started on your homework.